I think, first of all, with respect to your stat on Hawaii, that 50% are not in the VA system, I don't want to have the impression left that that's because of any innate failing on the part of the VA or as a result of outreach. Actually, probably a lot of that is accountable to a very good state law that we have,
Absolutely.
which provides a very high level of coverage as long as those veterans are employed. This law was a pretty revolutionary one. It's been around for decades now.
And I didn't want to leave that impression.
Okay.
You're
Well, I
absolutely
think I just wanted, when you said that, it jarred me a little bit. So I don't want to say that. However, outreach is still the issue because there are too many that are not covered under that law, or for that matter, any other state. I think what I wanted to follow up on a comment on VSOs from this perspective, because I'm going back to my Veterans Fair in Honolulu example and walking around talking to the VSOs, incredibly committed, in many different ways. Do you feel that we are adequately incentivizing or encouraging or welcoming VSOs into the continuum of outreach and care? Or are there ways that we can do a better job there? And what I don't want to say in the context of this question is that they should in any way, shape, or form replace the obligation. But they're clearly there. They want to help. They're motivated to help. And are we? I just asked the open question. Have you considered whether there are other ways that we can, additively include them in the care, especially in the areas that we've talked about today, whether it be outreach, because as you well know, veterans are the best people to outreach to veterans, and transportation, where they certainly do much of the care right now, and I'm sure you know of other ways. So can you comment on VSOs a little bit and whether whether you've given thought in that direction?
I think Dr. Stone will agree. We could not do what we do without them. If you go to the medical center on Honolulu, you go to the clinic on the Big Island, there are offices that the VSOs maintain. They are really the living link to the veterans population. They provide much of the legal and intellectual support for our veterans who are looking for answers on benefits. So they are an integral part of our community. What has changed, though, is the nature of the veterans population, and you see that in Hawaii as well. For the first time since the fall of Saigon, more than half of our veterans population is now under the age of 65. And that is where we have to go beyond traditional means because they're not joiners. They don't follow the pattern that the Vietnam era, the Korean era, and the World War II era have. So many of the non-traditional avenues that are out there, we are trying to enhance. I won't name them because in naming them I'll exclude some, but I'm actually trying to expand the aperture on the number of institutions we can bring into VA to reach out to veterans.
Private institutions, or back to my question.
Yeah,
VSOs specifically,
yeah.
are there policy judgments, legislation?
No, I don't think so.
Areas that we can do to
as long as they meet our standards. So now we're looking at groups like, well, I'll just name a few that weren't there 10 or 15 years ago: Wounded Warriors, Elizabeth Dole Foundation, Independence Fund, people who address specific needs in the veterans community that in some cases are new. So expanding that group is absolutely on target, and I'll get you a report on how we're doing that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yield back.